My name is David Haas. Excuse me. I'm urban forester for LA and Ventura counties for the Department of Forestry and Fire Protection. You guys probably know us from the news as CAL FIRE. That's our moniker. That's what happens when you have a firefighter in charge of the department. You lose the forestry. First, I'd like to say thank you to the City of Carson, Energize California, and Cal State Dominguez Hills for allowing me to be here today and talk to you all about something that I think will greatly benefit you and your communities. We talked a lot about disadvantaged communities and everything, and I'm going to talk about the Urban and Community Forestry Program, California Climate Investments Grant Program. We're funded by the Greenhouse Gas Reduction Fund. First a little bit about our program. We were mandated by the Urban Forestry Act of 1978. CAL FIRE's had an urban forestry program since that time. 2017, AB 1530 updated that Urban Forestry Act, changed us from a may program to a shall, which is big in government, right? So that was excellent. Created some new mandates for us to set region urban canopy goals, change some of the wording about how we can work with cities on maintenance-related issues. So if you or people in your organization are interested in urban forestry, I strongly recommend reading the act. It's only 3 or 4 pages, and there's a lot of good information on there that kind of describes what we do, how we do it, and how we can work with you to accomplish those things. There's 6, everybody hear me right? There's 6 region urban foresters in the program and 1 state urban forester or program manager. Like I said, I cover LA and Ventura counties, and I'll have a map up later. You can see how the state is distributed. And what we do is, obviously, we do a lot of grant administration. Well, first, I'll just say, everybody in our program is foresters. I have a degree in forestry. The new woman that's going to cover Northern California, she's still in the academies. We all, as CAL FIRE employees, we all go through all the same fire academies that firefighters do. So she's currently in the academy. She has a PhD in urban forestry from, I believe, University of Virginia, so it's an excellent addition to our program. So we're all foresters that do quite a bit of grant management, but that's what our technical training is in, forestry. So we do a lot of grant administration, technical assistance with cities, counties, communities, nonprofits to help deal with whatever issues may arise that you may need assistance with. A lot of public outreach and education like this and other workshops. Maybe some of you have seen me at other things throughout the greater LA and Ventura areas. And then we also do the Tree City USA program. So if that's something you think your city may be interested in, please feel free to contact me about that as well. I'll have my contact information up at the end. I think it's also in the program. And you can see what the program's mission is within the department. So now getting to our grant program. There's been a lot of good information presented here, and I learned a lot. I really enjoy coming to things like this because it gives me the opportunity to see how we can build those cross-disciplinary relationships and partnerships, which are really important in having these multi-benefit projects be successful. And the breakout sessions too have been really good. Sometimes you go to these and nobody says anything, but everybody's had a lot of good contributions. So, like I said, have had several funding sources in the past, bonds and other things, but currently we are getting money from the Greenhouse Gas Reduction Fund to do these grant programs. We received money in 14-15. 15-16, none of the annually allocated programs received funding, but 16-17 we received funding. So we've been doing this a long time, and we feel like we have a pretty good program established. So to be eligible for, this year we have $17.5 million eligible for grants in 3 different categories, which I'll go over. But to be eligible, cities, counties, districts, which are like school districts and water districts and things like that, joint powers authorities and 501c3 nonprofits. We strongly encourage partnerships in our grant program, and so that's how individuals, companies, and federal agencies can become involved. And there's 2 main things that have to happen with our grant program. It has to be in an urban area because we're urban forestry, and once you get outside of those urban areas, other forestry-related rules and regulations take effect. And then also, because it's through the Greenhouse Gas Reduction Fund, your project has to reduce greenhouse gases. That has I won't get too far into the weeds with some of this stuff, just kind of touch the important details, and if you have more questions, we can discuss it later. And one of the reasons I want to be here is because we're currently accepting concept proposals. It's a two-stage application process, and we're currently accepting that first stage, and the due date is February 26th, 3 p.m. So if you think you've got something going on within your organization or your city or county, now's your opportunity to act on it. So just some of the general information about our project. 75% of the funds have to be spent, and we talk a lot about disadvantaged communities, but with AB 1550, they created a new designation, low-income communities or populations. So, and I haven't had the opportunity to explore this to the extent I would. Been a little busy for CAL FIRE this season, and we all respond to those large incidents, so I'll have to do some beefing up on that. But I know disadvantaged communities can be identified through Cal EnviroScreen 3.0, that map. I don't believe the AB 1550 communities are on Cal EnviroScreen. There's a separate map that's done by Cal EPA. So both those communities are eligible for our grant program, and so there's that other 25% that of our funds that can be spent outside of disadvantaged, or we'll just call them AB 1550 populations. So if you're not within those designated areas, it's not that you're not eligible, you'll just be competing for a smaller pot of money. So projects have to be multi-benefits, projects that, focus on urban forestry, but provide a lot of other benefits. And just by planting trees, you're going to need a lot of those multi-benefits. Matching is required, 25%, unless you're in a disadvantaged community, in which case that matching requirement can be reduced or waived. That makes it easier for some of the other cities and communities to participate. And you can do up to 10% of the budget in indirect costs, which is unique. Not a lot of programs offer that. That's for nonprofits only. And then a lot of the breakout sessions I noticed talk about, well, we need to outreach, we need to get communities involved, we need to have authentic community engagement, and that's why we encourage, up to 20% of the budget can be for education and outreach, and we encourage grantees to utilize that full 20%. Because we understand from the years of doing this, that especially when you're planting a tree, which some people love, some people are not huge fans of, doing that community outreach and getting that community actively involved is really what's going to make a big difference in having a successful project. And anybody can submit up to 3 concept proposals for any single grant category, or one in all 3, or however you want to do it, up to 3 total applications. Projects, when the successful grantees are chosen, have to be completed by March 30th, 2022. So the 3 grant types we have are urban forest expansion and improvement, urban forest management activities, and urban wood and biomass utilization. Because it's a greenhouse gas reduction fund and you have to reduce greenhouse gases, Air Resources Board has decided the only way we, as a program, can achieve those greenhouse gases is through tree planting, direct tree planting. And so that's why everything has to be have a tree planting component. Except for urban wood and biomass utilization, because you're creating long-term carbon storage by cutting those trees down and making a wood product out of that, but I'll touch on that in a little bit. First, urban forest expansion and improvement is basically tree planting. That's the focus of it. So that's the most popular, or the most utilized of the 3 grant programs, because it's relatively easy to do. It has a large impact on the community, and it's easy to have the community involved in those kinds of projects. One of the unique things about our grant program is that you're required to perform maintenance on these trees. Because we're foresters, we understand that if you just go slap a tree in the ground and walk away, it's going to die, for the most part. So you are required to provide 3 years of maintenance on that tree, and then also you can apply for 1 to 2 post-grant maintenance cycles. So the grant's complete, it's 2022, you finished it, you put together a maintenance plan, and we go over it with you, and if everything's on the up and up, then we cut you a check for up to 2 maintenance cycles. And what that maintenance cycle is up to your organization. That could be 1 year, 2 years, 5 years. That's one of the unique things about a program that we're pretty proud of that we're able to do. Also, lightly engineered stormwater projects, so putting in bioswales. Well, I'll use this opportunity as a plug for our sister agency, the California Natural Resources Agency. They're more like our boss. But they have an urban green program, so that's where you can take advantage of some of those larger stormwater projects that require a lot of concrete and, more than our budget limits allow, which is also up there as well. The minimum dollar amount for our grants is $150,000. Max used to be $1 million, but since we got more money this go around, we upped our maximums to one of the large urban forestry advocacy organizations in the state, California Really. They have a sub-granting program, and you see sub-granting as allowable to the same types of organizations are eligible, cities, counties, nonprofits. So if you don't think your organization can handle a $150,000 grant, they're there to provide those, I think it's $25,000 to $100,000 grants for some of those smaller organizations, or if you just have lesser experience in some of those types of things. And also we've always said we can do parcel purchases with these grants, and it's rarely utilized, but last year in the Fresno area we did that, which is pretty exciting. So purchasing a small vacant lot, turning into a park and planting trees and all that stuff. And at the bottom there, I put kind of important bullets in the bottom in red. So, if you're not sure whether your project qualifies or not, if you advance the urban forestry efforts or the management of urban natural resources, your project might be eligible. Contact me and we'll work it out and figure out if it's going to work. Next is urban forest management activities. So this is inventories, management plans, updating policies and ordinances, mapping and analysis. So stuff that's not direct tree planting, but involved in properly managing an urban forest. So this is only cities and counties, nonprofits can apply for this. They can be partners, especially to maybe handle some of that tree planting component. We're fortunate in the greater LA area to have very well established urban forestry nonprofits that have been doing it a long time. They're well established in the community and know what they're doing, and they can assist cities with some of those other tasks that they might not be as familiar with, doing that outreach and getting the community involved in tree planting events. The management plans have to be long-term active plans. We'll say we're not looking to pay for something that's going to sit on a shelf. We want that plan to be relevant, to be signed in by the mayor. I mean, it's got to be supported by the community and the governmental structure and utilized to actually actively manage your urban forest. This is new. You have to have an urban tree canopy goal. So we can work with you on developing what's your current existing canopy and what a reasonable goal may be, and a similar minimum and maximums for that. Last is urban wood and biomass utilization. So this is a very cool program that's kind of hard to work out. We usually get 1 or 2 grants a year out of this, but it's essentially when a tree gets cut down in your city, instead of sending it to the dump, our goal is to build the industry capacity to turn that into a usable wood product for that long-term carbon storage. So we can pay for a portable mill, we can pay for kilns, we can pay for other types of equipment to help you build that capacity. One of the key things that you have to prove to us that you're going to be able to continue outside the grant period. We're not looking to just fund you for 3 or 4 years. We want to set you up so you can continue, creating this product long after the grant's over. Slightly smaller dollar maximum, but from our experience, to go into that higher dollar amount for this is not necessary. And like I said, you have to show how you'll continue to operate after the grant period. We're looking for highest and best use. You can't just say we're going to cut these trees down and turn it into mulch. We're looking for wood products, benches, 2x4s, whatever it is that you think it may be. So that's one of our favorites to see successfully implemented. So we don't release exactly what our scoring criteria is going to be because we want the project to be built and catered to the community. If we say, you're going to get 5 points for this, 2 points for that, 3 points for this, we feel that you're going to build your grant around our scoring criteria. We really need to be building your grant around what the community wants and what the community needs. So we'll give you general, this out of 100 points, but these are the things we're going to be scoring. So 80-15, 50 community, whether you don't have to be totally in all those communities. You can have partially in, partially out, propane. We're flexible. Greenhouse gas benefits. It's an important part of the scoring criteria. It's not the only thing, like I said, because it's the greenhouse gas reduction fund. So you got to reduce greenhouse gases. Co-benefits is everything other than reducing greenhouse gases. So stormwater reduction and capture. So if you're doing concrete cuts to create new planting spaces, that's a big one. Part of our goal in doing these co-benefits evaluations too is to prove to Air Resources Board that as an urban forestry project, we reduce greenhouse gases more than direct carbon storage in a tree. And also a big one is emissions reduction. So kind of how it fits in with the topic of discussion here is that there's also a couple things that I need to touch on here is that, there's the direct carbon storage through putting biomass on the tree, and then there's also reducing emissions on houses by properly planting trees around the structure. So the distance from the house, there's 3 categories. The direction the tree is planted around the house, right? So we call that the aspect of the house. So if the house is facing south or facing west, those are south and west aspects, and you're going to maximize your energy emissions impacts and your related greenhouse gas reduction because those are the warmest parts of the house. So strategically planting trees in those areas around there. And also shading houses that have heating and cooling, right? So if you don't have any heating or air, you're going to have a lesser emissions reduction through shading a house because you're not reducing heating and cooling costs. That calculation is determined by the Air Resources Board. So if you're interested in our grant program, you can just search ARV quantification methodology, and there's a document and some calculators that describe how the quantification is done, how to utilize the calculators, and I strongly recommend reading that quantification methodology document because that's probably 50% of the questions that I get. And if you read the document, I feel like it's pretty straightforward. And I'll also defer, I have 2 current grantees here, Melinda with City of LA and Carlos with Tree People. So like I said, ask them about how our process is and what some of the easier and harder parts of it are. We also list all of our past grantees or everybody that received grants through Greenhouse Gas Reduction Fund on our webpage. So you can look on there and see who's gotten a grant, who can I talk to about maybe something that I can do to make my application more competitive. City of Carson has a grant currently. City of Downey, Rosemead, Claremont, LA County has an inventory grant. Lots of nonprofits in the LA area. So there's a wealth of resources for you in this room and just in your neighborhood that can help out. We also hired the California Urban Forest Council, or contracted with them to revamp our calculator because it was difficult to deal with and unwieldy. So it's now an online calculator that's made it much more simple and will greatly simplify the process for you. If you have any questions about any of this stuff, please don't hesitate to contact me. And then we also score on best management practices, and on our website we kind of have a list, a guide of tree planting and urban forestry best management practices. And then an overall project quality that we can use as a tiebreaker. If there's 2 very close projects and you feel like this one is more inclusive of the community or whatever, that's just looking at the project in general. Again, I mentioned it's a 2-stage application process. We all review all the concept proposals and the scoring and review processes in the guidelines, so I won't go too far into that. I don't know how easy it is to see some of this stuff, but I do this up here. So this is a map of how the state's broken down by region urban forester. Here we are at Ventura counties. So this is for our 16-17 grants. So here's kind of a summary of LA and Ventura County. So we got the most number of grants, 12 out of 37. We got the most amount of money, $5.5 million. We're planting the most trees, over 13,000, and we're reducing the most greenhouse gases. So good job, LA and Ventura counties. And this is kind of a breakdown of how the grants were given out. So most are urban forest expansion and improvement, and then a couple urban wood and biomass utilization. And this is a similar slide for the 14-15 grants. The grant categories were a little different then because at the time there was no urban greening program through California, the Natural Resources Agency, so it was just us doing all these projects. And again, LA and Ventura County beat them all out and everything. So excellent work. I wish I could take credit for that, but it's really all of you. So that's about it. I'll just say I love my job. I hope all of you contact me. I look forward to working on projects with you. Since we're in the open grant period, I can't give you, project-specific information about how to make the project more competitive. I can make general comments on the grant guidelines and the review process and stuff like that. But once the concept proposal period is over, then we can work on the projects for next year. The grant guidelines have not really changed at all from last year, other than updates to the 80-15-50 communities versus Senate Bill 535 and the dollar amount. So it's pretty consistent year after year. So what you see in our grant guidelines currently, chances are it's going to look very similar to that next year. So you can get an idea of what we're looking for and how you can start developing those projects for the next year. I can take questions probably later, so Monica has a chance to talk. So you can email me, call me, or whatever your preferred method of communication is. Thank you.